And again, another announcement from the veganerized community. TMAO will kill you or knock you for six. Apparently, according to Mick, the vegan. Let's just cover this point.
They point to TMAO, that trimethylamine N oxide, which is connected to heart disease as well, and that can be formed from eating that carnitine in meat or choline in eggs.
Basically, more nonsense. This guy? Do we forget this guy? 25 eggs a day. Let's look at the dosage. Apparently, half a gram, 550 milligrams. One hard-boiled egg, 147 milligrams. 147 times 25. Oops, too much. According to Mick, this old geezer should have dropped dead within a decade after, not multiple decades. Something is wrong. He's cheating. And if we divide that by the dosage, this old geezer was consuming about nearly 7 times. Bad, naughty boy, naughty old geezer. Yes, he should have known best. He should have listened to Mick the vegan. Oh, unfortunately, Mick wasn't alive then. This is back in the mid-90s. Yes. Sorry, you missed your opportunity, Mick. Choline. Let's take a look. Does it actually have any role? Remember the one that I did, this one here, this video? Remember all vegans, about homocysteine levels? Let's just go down memory lane. That it is about homocysteine, and he does talk about it further down. And he actually has to admit the bad levels. So let's just make sure, clear that up. The further away you live from an ancestral diet, the worse you get.
For example. But that was explained away by the fact that vegetarians tend to have less children, which is...
Who gives it? Probably because I can't breed well enough. Yes, so yes, homocysteine. Now let's take a look. When we're talking about these sort of issues, this is, the NIH, National Institute of Health, basically telling us that even though the body can produce some endogenous choline as phosphatidylcholine, but the amount that the body naturally synthesizes is not sufficient to meet the human needs. As a result, humans must obtain some choline from the diet. So pretty much, you've got the folate B12 pathway for methylation, and which can be improved by riboflavin, which is again high in animal foods. On the other hand, also choline, if you're deficient in those, the need of dietary choline rises because choline becomes the prime methyl donor. This is the official, this is not Harry saying it, this is the official site saying it becomes the prime methyl donor. This explains the high homocysteine levels amongst vegans, pretty much. And then when we're looking at most common source of choline in food are fat-soluble phospholipids, phosphatidylcholine, and sphingomyelin. let's take a look at what this is. Sphingomyelin. Sphingomyelin is a type of sphingolipid found in animal cell membranes, especially in the membranes of myelin sheet that surrounds some of the nerve cell axons, and is usually consistent of phosphocholine and ceramide. So if you're deficient in choline and you're concerned about TMAO, are you causing myelination issues to your, more than likely, is that affecting your brain fogged state? Possibly. Then when we look at, a couple of other things, choline status is not routinely measured in healthy adults. Concentrations of choline plasma from 7 to 20 picomoles per deciliter. According to one study, the range of 7 to 9 fasted adults plasma levels decline below 50 of normal when individuals who have not eaten for more than a week. When it comes to the veganurized community, months and years. This may be due to whatever hydrolysis of membrane and phospholipids, source of choline to maintain plasma choline concentrations above the minimum level, or endogenous synthesis. So the body can take some and synthesize some, but at some point, or you can actually fast for a certain period of time. And we know that the veganurized diet is a fasting mimicking diet. That's the way that they waste away. But, once you get into the months and years on the veganurized diet, you wonder why you start getting, neurological issues, tingling and all sorts of strange sensations, mental anxieties and all sorts of issues, because you're deficient in choline. Let's not forget that also some of the highest foods in terms of, so basically phosphatidylcholine, chemical component, it's basically found in eggs, a number of these, that's soybean, forget it, it's basically in a form that very little is very well bioavailable for the human body, has to convert it and stuff like that. There's all sorts of issues. Anyway, it can help boost cognitive function. According to a 1995 study on mice with dementia, phosphatidylcholine supplementation can increase the neurotransmitter acetylcholine in the brain. It may also improve memory. Obviously, because it's basically a major component of biological membranes and involved in a whole lot of other very important functions. Carnitine, we can't have carnitine in the diet, because it'll increase TMAO. Carnitine. We'll go down here. In support of energy metabolism, carnitine transports long-chain fats into the mitochondria to be oxidized for energy production. Also participates in removing products of metabolism from the cells, waste products out of the cells. Are your cells being filled up with waste, vagoons, and they're not being and that waste is not being removed? I suspect so. So these are important nutrients. Animal tissue provides the same sort of stuff for animal tissue, which is what our tissue is. So if you don't eat those sort of things, and with age, you synthesis declines, or when you don't get certain precursors, synthesis declines because the body still needs certain components to furnish some of this stuff, you start suffering. That is the reality, Myelination issues, demyelination, yes, can become very problematic. Now, obviously, very easy to get enough choline from eggs, as we've seen. Now, when it comes to basically meat, we're talking about 24 ounces, which is 1.5 pounds, 680 grams of meat. So if you're just going to do just meat and nothing else, so if we 24 divided by the 3 ounces times 72, you're getting more than the RDI. So if you have a big steak every day, you're getting all the choline you need in that regard. But if you have some methylation issues, should go for higher, add a couple of eggs in there, is what I say. Now, what's some of the more recent research about TMAO itself? Real research, mechanistic, not associational, claptrap. Obviously, you can't do these experiments on humans. They have to do them on animals. Eat your vegetables and fish. God almighty. You don't need vegetables don't have choline, you twats. Fish is very high in TMAO. God, I wonder why the Japanese live longer than the Americans. Could it be that TMAO? Could be. Elevated levels of TMAO are compound linked with the consumption of fish, seafood, and primary vegetarian diet. No, it's not. It's an animal-based diet. Just because some vegetarians consume fish, it doesn't make it a vegetarian diet. This is the the other nonsense about fish, red meat not being plant-based and fish being plant-based. Well, it's carnivore as well, my dears. May reduce hypertension-related heart disease symptoms. New research in rats finds that low-dose treatments with TMAO reduced heart thickening, cardiac fibrosis. So actually consuming choline and consuming basically carnitine, which increase TMAO, can actually reduce cardiac fibrosis. This is mechanistic studies. This is where you actually put something in, you observe whether it reduces or increases or does something. Associational studies don't do that. This is mechanistic studies, which actually show, and markers of heart failure in an animal model of hypertension. Well, say no more. Book me in with a rat. I'll take my TMAO. See yous.